Hey, how's it going, everybody? I wanted to make this video. I've been getting some comments on airfare is so expensive to Bangkok and on and on. And this has always been a hobby of mine. I've always traveled, mostly in business class. I'll show some clips of that later and how I earn those miles and points. Business, first class, that's the way to cross an ocean, in my view. But I hate hearing people tell me, ooh, it's $3,000 round trip to fly from the U.S. to Bangkok. It's just not. The airlines want to trick you if you especially are flying from a small place. And I'll give a real world example right up front here because I know a lot of people, they just watch a couple of minutes of a video and then they move on. Then we'll get into the nitty gritty. If you really want to save some money or learn how to get those free first class tickets, we'll get into that. We'll talk about seat size, on and on. But let's just get right to it. Right here on August 28th, 2024, is a flight on Japan Airline. Can't get much better than that. LA to Bangkok, it's $743 round trip. That's an incredible price. And this is a great flight. This is my preferred way to cross the Pacific Ocean, and I'll show you why later in the video. But we take off LA 1:30, get into Narita at 4:40, a nice easy 1 hour and 40-minute layover in Tokyo. We then take off to Narita, arrive at Suvarnabhumi. These are both on 787s at 11 p.m. We depart at 8:05 a.m. Not my favorite. I think there's a 1:30 afternoon departure, but I want to say it was $300 more. So I'm just keeping this basic, keeping it cheap. We depart at 8:05, get into Tokyo at 4:15, a 1 hour layover. Again, none of these 12-hour layovers in Manila for me. So this is why I like Japan. It's just an efficient operation. We then take off out of Narita, get into Suvarnabhumi at 11:30 a.m., which again on a 787. Now, there you go. We're going to stay away from adding extra luggage and premium economy and on and on. Let's keep it basic. $743. Nowhere near what I got a comment yesterday. I'm seeing $3,000. This person didn't get back to me. I asked them, well, where are you trying to fly from? I'm just curious, and I'll look it up for 5 minutes, and hopefully he will or she will get back to me. I'm just going to guess because I understand how he's coming up with that number. Let's look at El Paso, Texas on these exact same days. Okay, so El Paso... wrong El Paso. El Paso to Bangkok. Okay, El Paso to Bangkok is $2,188. Now that is $1,445 more than if we did LA to Bangkok. Now, can you get from El Paso to Los Angeles for less than $1,455? Yes, you can. Are the airlines going to tell you that? No, they will not. You plug in garbage in, and you're going to get garbage out at the American Airlines website. Even talking to an agent, they're not going to do you any favors and tell you to buy 2 round-trip tickets. They're just going to plug in El Paso, Bangkok, and say you owe $2,188 or $3,700 or whatever the crazy price might be. Is the exact same planes, except you're tacking on this flight, the 705 to LA. It's a 2 hour and 12-minute flight on a small Embraer. You're arriving at 8:17 in the morning. You have a 5 hour and 18-minute layover. You then get on the exact same plane to Japan. You get into Suvarnabhumi at the exact same time. Same flight from Suvarnabhumi back to Tokyo, Tokyo to LA. You then have a 3 hour and 18-minute layover. You get on a small Embraer back to El Paso and arrive at 5:46. If we were to buy the ticket, Bangkok or LA Bangkok round trip, and a separate ticket from El Paso to Los Angeles, remember, we're trying to save $1,445. So let's take a look at the exact same day, the exact same plane they're going to have you on for that 2,188 itinerary. We are now going to pay $219. So that is what? $1,225 savings over what they initially quoted you. So there you go. You just have to use some common sense. Look at the main departure city, in this case, LA, San Francisco, even San Diego. I'm no expert on departing out of the East Coast. I have did it. I don't really care for those JFK flights that go to the Middle East. Beautiful airlines. It takes a little longer. They usually cost a little bit more, and we'll get into that later in the video. But this is just a real quick example how in 10 seconds I took a $2,200 ticket and turned it into what was it? Under a $1,000 ticket, way under. Well, 743 plus 225, so you still have to get to Los Angeles if El Paso is home, but that's way better than paying $2,188. And again, that is not even an extreme example. I'm sure if you're plucking in, and for whatever reason, it just is crazy to get from that city to Chicago or to Dallas or to, in this case, Los Angeles. Or oftentimes they might even make you go from that small city to Dallas, then to Los Angeles, and then to Bangkok. So eliminate all that, do your search, and I'll show you where later. Spoiler alert, it's going to be at Google Flights. You don't do this at the airline, and you certainly don't call an agent and expect them to help you. You're going to have to do your due diligence.
Good morning, Coast Guard Commander 6003, Coast Guard ramp information, Foxtrot for a South Bay departure. Southwest 1021, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Southwest 1021, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Coast Guard 6003, Lumber Tower, you're clear Alex, San Diego Bravo airspace. Departure from the ramp at your own risk. Altimeter 2976, traffic on a 2-mile final is a Beechjet 1300. Contact Island Tower. 2976, we have the traffic inside switching out of tower. Top, please one request direct north sector. Please one direct north sector is approved. Please one, roger. Southwest 1021, contact still clear departure. American 2743, Lumber Tower, runway 27, line of point. 27, line of point, American 2743.
2743, a 738, you're heading to Dallas, Fort Worth.
East Point, well not looking at transit south and north along the beach line.
Engines 22, clear to the Bravo airspace, as requested, altimeter 2976, report Crystal Pier.
2976, Wilco, engine 22.
Santos 43, turn right 36, contact ground. Making the right turn here, going to ground, Santos 43. American 2743, runway 27, clear for takeoff. 27, clear for takeoff, American 2743. That tower, Southwest 2011, 5.5 out, runway 27. Southwest 2011, number tower, runway 27, clear to land. Clear to land, 27, Southwest 2011. United 343, contact Southwest departure. At 343, switching departure. American 1058, number tower, runway 27, line of point, traffic 7 mile final. Line of point 27, American 1058. Southwest 2011, turn left, Bravo 8, contact ground. Bravo 8 ground, Southwest 2011. Southwest 5599 here for 27. Southwest 5599, number tower, traffic holding in position, runway 27, clear land. Clear line 27, Southwest 5599. American 1058, runway 27, clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff 27, American 1058.
1058, a 738 going to Phoenix. Short final, Southwest, a 737 coming in from Dallas Love Field.
American 1621, Aribo inbound. American 1621, number tower, traffic will hold in position whenever reduced to final approach speed, runway 27, clear land. To our final and equivalent 27 Americans. American 1954, number tower, runway 27, line up and wait, traffic 5 mile final company Airbus. Runway 27, line up and wait, American 1954.
American 1954, you're heading to Charlotte, your Airbus 321.
Southwest 5599, turn left, Bravo 8, contact ground. Bravo 8, thank you. American 1954, runway 27, clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff, American 1954. American 1954, contact SoCal departure. Good day for American 1954. Lindbergh Tower, Coast Guard 6014. Coast Guard 6014, looking sir. Tower 6014, Echo 3, you're northwest of Crystal Pier, request mission, day arrival. Coast Guard 6014, spot 0234. 0234, squawk 6014.
So I'm just going to show some video in the background. I used to have a plane spotting channel when I lived in San Diego. Your basic hanging out over the runway, and I was a private pilot, so I had the handheld radio, and I would just put the microphone up there so you can hear ATC and all that. But I'll just run that in the background as I'm going through this more detailed plane information. So the one thing you have to understand doing any kind of travel, and I'm gearing this towards the US. That's all I know. I'm a US guy. I apologize to my UK, Australian, Canadian subscribers. I wish I could give you this kind of detailed information, but I would just be making it up. I mean, some of it applies, but once again, I'm a US guy, so I apologize if that doesn't help you to get to Bangkok from the UK. I've never did that. I don't know how to do it. But from the US, you have three major alliances: One World, SkyTeam, and Star Alliance. One World is American Airlines / Alaska Airlines. They recently joined. Their partners that we're interested in are Cathay out of Hong Kong, Japan, Malaysian. They also have British, Finnair, Iberia, Qantas, Qatar, and a few others. But that's not going to really help us. Later in the video, I'll get into using those partners to fly, say, on a Japan airline flight using points. Actually, I'm going to recommend you watch my video I put out a couple of years ago in San Diego on earning miles and using miles. I'll probably update that video, but that's its own separate monster. What you have to understand is if you have a ton of Alaska points, you can very easily use them on a Japan airline itinerary. Never touching an Alaska flight. You don't have to start in Seattle on an Alaska plane and then switch to a Japan. You can start in LA on a Japan flight using only Alaska miles, using only American miles, only Cathay miles, only British, any of the One World miles you can use on any of the other flights, if that makes sense. To keep it simple, if you were to purchase a Japan airline flight, what you would want to do is credit that flight to either Alaska or American, the miles. Even if you purchase it straight at Japan, since they're all partners, you can put the miles in your American or Alaska account. You can also buy this flight, this same itinerary, at Japan, Alaska, American, British Airways, whichever. Oftentimes, the host airline is going to have the cheapest price, but double check, and there might be reasons you want to purchase this entire Japan itinerary. If you were to fly LA to Bangkok, for instance, you're not going to touch anything but Japan metal. There might be a reason to do that with an Alaska account. You might have a credit at Alaska. You might fly, I don't want to get too complicated, but you might fly one way on points and purchase a one-way ticket home. There's just different reasons to do that, but let's keep it simple. Then there's also SkyTeam, which is Delta. It also depends on where you live. If you're a West Coast guy, you're probably going to be a One World or United person, which is Star Alliance. If you live in Atlanta, Georgia, you're absolutely going to be a SkyTeam person because that's a Delta city. Now, SkyTeam and Delta, their partners we're concerned about, and this is getting to Bangkok, are China Airlines, China Eastern, Korean, Vietnam Airlines just kind of got into the mix. I don't know. Korean's probably the best. Vietnam, I think, has one flight out of LAX, and I don't even think it's daily. China Airlines, not my favorite. I'll get into that when we start talking about seat sizes. Then you have Star Alliance, which is United. Now, this is great to get over here. You have Air Nippon Airline. You have Asiana, flies into Seoul, Ava, Taipei, Singapore, Air Canada, Air China. And then Thai Airways is also part of Star Alliance, but they do not fly out of the U.S. Theoretically, you could make your way over to, say, London and then get on a Thai flight, but that will not be cheap. And I'm trying to keep this as discount as possible. I never fly into London if I'm paying for a ticket. I don't even fly into London if I'm using miles. They just have such crazy taxes. Even on a free first-class ticket flying into Japan, I think I paid $65 in taxes. That same first-class ticket, I'm just guessing, going to London would probably be $800 in taxes. It's no joke. And that's why some of the fares are so high as well. When you're buying your ticket, you're just paying your $800. You don't realize 190 of that is airport landing fees and taxes and on, and the rest goes to the airline. It's just one ticket. But when you're doing points, it's right out in your face. And London Heathrow, I just avoid. The miles you have, like I had somebody say, what did he say? He said, I have 210,000 Alaska miles, yet I need to figure out how to get ANA miles or something. And I sent back a message saying, well, you can use those Alaska miles in many ways to get over here. The best is probably on Japan Airlines. Singapore, you can use them. It's just not as good a redemption. And he was super happy. He thought he had to use his Alaska miles on Alaska, and that's just not the case. Anyhow, there's also a couple of new players in town. Zip Air is, I think they have a 777 flying Tokyo LAX, and there's Starlux is the new player in town. They have a wide body flying into Taiwan. I'm not really getting into those yet. I would be a little cautious. I'm sure they're great outfits, but I've just seen so many people come and go within a year. I would just be a little cautious if you're only saving $125 on buying a Zip Air or a Starlux ticket 6 months in advance on whether they're still going to be operating or they've changed the schedule from 7 days a week to 3 days a week, that kind of thing. Japan Airlines, nothing is going to stop them. Even during the pandemic, they were flying the planes empty because they were full of cargo. They were still moving Maine lobster to Japan and moving Toyota parts back to Los Angeles. I don't know if Zip Air or Starlux would be flying empty planes. I don't know, but I'm just a Japan Airlines guy all day long. Now, the other thing is we're going to be using Google Flights to do our searching. The example I gave earlier, and I'll go ahead and bring it up right now. Get my notes out of the way. LAX to BKK Swanepoel. And we're randomly on August 9th to August 27th. Here's an Asiana flight for $894, an Ava flight $949, a Korean flight $993. Again, I like the Japanese flights because of the low connection times. Well, this is a 3-hour connection. ANA, a great airline, and this is a 1,030. Google Flights is just an awesome tool. You can just really narrow things down. You can go to the alliances like I told you about, One World, SkyTeam, Star Alliance. You can pick your favorite airline if it's ANA only. So you put in ANA, you put in only. You put in only, and it's just going to show you ANA and United flights. United and ANA, once again, are SkyTeam partners. So sometimes you will fly on a United flight from, say, San Francisco to Tokyo, and then an ANA flight from Tokyo to Bangkok. There isn't a United flight from Tokyo to Bangkok, so you'll fly on their partner. Now, searching around on Google Flight, the best way to do it, and trying to keep track of my notes here and not head down too many rabbit holes, but you have to be flexible on your flights. You need to avoid planes where they're full of business people for several reasons. For one, the prices are going to be cheaper, and I'll make it up. You'll have to do your own homework. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when every business flyer is flying LA to Tokyo on Saturday afternoon to be ready for business on Monday, and they're coming home Sunday morning to be able to go to work Monday morning in the US. Yeah, avoid those flights. If you can get a nice Tuesday or Wednesday flight, you might get lucky, get a poor man first class, and get a whole row of 3 or 4 to yourself. I did it. I mean, before I figured out how to kind of exclusively fly in business or first, even better, I did that poor man first class many a time. Another trick there is if you do a basic economy ticket, when you get to the airport and check in, whatever that airline's level, not premium economy, that's a whole different animal. We'll talk about that in a minute, but just the basic, they sometimes call it Comfort Plus. It might just be the 20 seats closer to the exit than the rear of the plane, and they're charging $75 more for that seat, and maybe it comes with a cheesy meal or something. I don't know. But oftentimes when you check in, I did this twice. I was on a coach flight. It was Hong Kong to Seattle on Delta. And at the counter, they made the offer to me. This is how I kind of learned about it. They said, hey, would you like an upgrade for what amounted to $50 or something? And I'm like, I don't know about that, you know. And he goes, well, I tell you what. He goes, I kind of have to push these upgrades. If you take the upgrade, I'll block off 4 seats for you because that entire portion of the cabin is kind of empty. And I said, that sounds like a great deal. So he did just that. He blocked off 4 middle seats, and I stretched out. I couldn't even stretch across all 4. I just took 3 of the seats, really. But as you looked in the rear of the plane, it was crammed as tight as can be. And then my little area up forward, there were probably 10 of us taking up a whole row of 4. So you can call us being a little greedy, I guess, but maybe we were smart enough to pay the extra $55 and not be wedged in with 4 other people in a row of 4. Sometimes it's a reasonable amount to fly business, but you're really going to have to pick your spots. The airlines do interesting things called fuel dumps where I don't know exactly how to explain it. I mean, I went to airline miles conventions and kind of learned all these things from, there would be an airline executive speaking at these conventions and kind of explaining to us, well, when we start new service from San Francisco to Hong Kong, for example, and we want to kind of bump the other players to the side, we might dump, they call it a seat dump, a fuel dump, whatever, a whole bunch of seats out there at a really cheap price to kind of get a stranglehold on the gate, you know, introducing new people to our flight, San Francisco to Hong Kong. And I'm just using that as an example. I think it was Seattle to Hong Kong. I got a really good deal one time on Delta. I don't even know if they have that flight anymore. But it was a business ticket for less than $2,000 round trip. And oftentimes that is a $6,000 ticket. And I'm sure Delta will be glad to sell it for $6,000 once they've established themselves in the market. But you might get lucky and get that ticket for that 2 or 3 month or even 2 week period that they're blowing out the prices. So how you're going to search for those things, and they're not always going to be there, is we're back on Google. You're going to go, in this case, we'll go LA to Bangkok. We are going to change it from economy to business. And I have it set at August 19th to August 27th. Philippine Airlines is 4,385. Turkish, you're kind of going around the world there, 4,387. Qatar, Asiana, okay, so close to $5,000 for probably the shortest way to go across the Pacific. You're going to save an hour or two, especially from the West Coast, compared to going over Europe and into the Middle East. So there you go, 4,934. But we can explore, and these are kind of my favorite features. You bring up the calendar, and you can see, well, here's a business ticket for $3,790. Again, that's not a giveaway, but when some people are complaining that their coach ticket is darn near $3,000 from Louisville, Kentucky to Bangkok, I mean, heck, if you can get yourself to Los Angeles and you don't care about spending that $3,000, well, here for $3,700, that's a way better flying experience. So let's go the 17th, come back September 30th and see where we're going. Okay, well, we're going to Doha. Qatar Airlines, an amazing airline. And for $3,786, that's an amazing price. Now, this is a long flight because you're going from LA. I want to assume you're going to JFK and then going to Doha, but I'm not positive. So let's plug it in and see. So Tuesday, yeah, 2 stops. No, okay, I didn't know. So that's a long flight. From LA to Doha is 15 hours and 35 minutes, then a 2-hour layover in Doha, and then a 6 hour 55 to Suvarnabhumi. I didn't even know they had a direct LA to Doha. Oh yeah, no wonder. These A350s and 787s are game changers. They just sip the fuel. The 747, I guarantee, would have gone from LA to JFK, then JFK to Doha, Doha to Suvarnabhumi. But these A350s, yeah, they're changing everything. Personally, I'm not a big fan of sitting on the plane for 15 and a half hours, but in business, it's not that bad a deal. And it also kind of makes sense to really pay attention to your layovers. Philippines Airline, for one thing, I'm not the greatest fan of the Philippine Airline, but I've been on it. They have terrible layovers. Oftentimes, the flight will come into Manila from LA, and then it's an 11-hour layover for the flight to Bangkok. Again, I'm just making these things up. I don't mean to run them down if you're a Philippine Airlines favorite, but Japan has just always worked out for me. You check it out. Everybody has their favorites, but don't save $125 on your ticket and not pay attention to a 14-hour layover, unless you want that layover. Once again, many airlines, well, most will allow a 24-hour layover, and I have did that. If you remember Anthony Bourdain's show, the layover, where he's in town for 24 hours. Well, that was kind of named that way for a reason, because a lot of us frequent travelers, we will fly, say, LA to Hong Kong and stay in Hong Kong for as long as you can, as long as there's an available plane. In my case, I would go LA, Hong Kong, then I would stay for 23 hours, and then there was a flight Hong Kong to Bangkok, and that's all one ticket. It's one itinerary. Also be careful with seasonal flights. I know Air Canada has a new Vancouver to Bangkok direct, and it was every day, I believe, when it first came out during the high season. I don't think it's going at all during the low season here in Bangkok with June, July, August, September. And then I think it's going to 3 days a week. So just be careful. I don't know what the season is for Hong Kong, or I don't know what, but I know Delta used to do a seasonal flight. Again, it gets a little confusing. I think they did an everyday flight to Hong Kong out of LA, a seasonal out of Seattle, a 3-day-a-week out of San Francisco. You just have to be flexible. This is more important when you're searching for flights with miles and points. You have to know where the best availability is. Japan Airlines, flying out of LA at one time, had 4, sometimes 5 flights a day. So you are just going to get the best deal with airline points searches, or even paying cash for a ticket, than some place, I'll make it up. Let's say there's one flight 4 times a week out of Dallas on Japan Airlines. Well, that's going to be a little bit more higher demand. Now, getting into flight times, I just had made a video, and a couple of people had said, hey man, I like your videos, but you're a little off on those flight times. You missed it by an hour here, there, an hour and a half there. To be honest, when I did that video, I was just shooting it off the top of my head. I've been on all of those flights, and I did mix it up a little bit, but I wrote it down this time. Again, my favorite going LAX to Tokyo is, and it all depends on headwinds, tailwinds, on and on. I think there was some flight from JFK to London, which, and let's say it's normally 6.5 hours, they did it in under 4 hours the other month because they just had an incredible world record tailwind. But heading LA to Tokyo, you're flying into the wind. It takes 11 hours. Tokyo to Bangkok, 6.5. So that's a 17.5 hour flight time. I'm not going to be one of these people that say, "Oh, I flew 28 hours." Well, no, you didn't. You were at the airport 3 hours early, and you had a 7-hour layover, and you flew 17.5 hours, but that's not 28 hours of flying. But in the seat flying time, 17.5 hours, LA to Bangkok if you go through Tokyo. Now, LA to Hong Kong is 15 hours. Hong Kong to Bangkok, 3 hours. That's 18 hours in the seat. San Francisco to Korea, 12.5 hours. Korea to Bangkok, 6 hours, 18.5 hours in the seat. LA to Singapore, it's a long haul, 17 hours. From Singapore to Bangkok, 2.5 hours, 19.5 total hours in the seat. Now, I am no expert on flying out of the East Coast. I did it once, maybe twice. JFK to Doha on Qatar Airlines, or Qatar, 12 hours and 15 minutes. Then from Qatar to Bangkok is 7 hours, so 19 hours and 15 minutes in the seat. On Etihad Airlines, JFK to Abu Dhabi, 13 hours. Then 6.5 to Bangkok, 19 hours and 30 minutes in the seat. Now, if you're going from LA to Doha, yeah, maybe a little bit longer. If you got some incredible deal that was $200 or $300 cheaper, yeah, maybe it'd be worth sitting in the plane another hour and 20 minutes to go the other way around the world. But either way you look at it, there are long flights. And this is really getting into some nitty-gritty airline travel nerd stuff, but there is an app or website called Seat Guru, which I love. You can take a look at, if you have choices, let's say everything is about the same price, and yeah, you're getting that LA to Bangkok round trip for under $1,000, and you have 3 choices. Well, take a look at the planes. Now, your major airlines, Japan Airlines, ANA, EVA, they're all going to have a nice seat. But some of the Chinese airlines, they'll pack another 20 or 30 seats on that plane. And it's not the plane. You'll hear people saying kind of weird things like, I'll never fly Boeing, the seats stink, or I don't know, there's been some Boeing trouble in the news lately, and people, that's up to you. If you refuse to fly a Boeing 777, well, okay, go pay another $1,000 to get on an Airbus 350 if that's the choice. Myself, I understand that a Boeing 777, the way the seats are outfitted, that is dictated by the airline, not by Boeing. Boeing makes the plane. They'll put any seat you want in there. If you want, I'll make up the number, 100 business seats only, and there are those planes. Hundreds and hundreds of economy seats, 0 first class, and a limited number of business seats, they'll do that. For instance, I believe, and I'm not going to go back and look, but I think that Japan flight, because I've been on it several times, is a Boeing 777-300 extended range, or a 773. And you go to Japan Airlines on Seat Guru, you go to the 773, and here's the plane. So I like to be sitting up here in first class. I've been lucky to do it once or twice. Business, dozens of times. But back here in economy, and premium economy, not bad. Just to give you an example of the differences, if a ticket is even $200 more round trip, maybe even $300 in premium economy, I would probably do it. Just looking here, they call their economy seat a Skywider economy, and the premium economy, 42-inch pitch compared to 34 on the economy, and both seats are 19-inch. Now that's important. When we take a look at the Chinese airline, 17-inch is usually the magic number, and oftentimes 30 to 31-inch. But the premium economy, sometimes it'll even be 20 inches wide. I've seen wider, and you can see the difference here. The 25.5 wide on a business seat and 33 on a first class. With a 33, I've sat up there. That's just a lazy boy recliner. There's no other way to travel. It's awesome. Although, would I spend the points 9 out of 10 times in first rather than maybe 2 flights in business? No. I treated myself when I retired. I came out on Japan first class. I already had a business ticket, and I just upgraded the miles. And yeah, it was totally worth it. But that is kind of a do it once or twice and then get that lie flat bed in business and no problem. But as we're taking a look at the basics here, this is the premium economy. You can see it's a 2-4-2. Then when we get back into coach, 3 seats, 3 seats, 3 seats. Again, this is important because on some airlines, it might be 3-4-3. Well, how do they squeeze that extra seat in? By making every seat 2 inches more narrow. And if you don't think that's a big deal, it is on a whatever it's going to be, 15-hour flight from, probably less, 13-hour flight from LA to China. That's not going to be as enjoyable. So take a look at Seat Guru, and just for example, this is Japan. I showed you the numbers. I think I have Air China saved here. Well, I'm going to do a notorious airline, which is China Southern. They really pack them in. So Seat Guru, China Southern Airlines, same plane, a 773. Well, this is a 77W, but very close. You can see in economy, well, that's not too bad. They're also a 333, but let's see what size. Okay, so we went from a 19-inch wide seat to a 17.2. They're throwing that 0.2 out there because when you're squeezing down to 17 inches, that's very important. And the pitch goes from, and again, this is interesting, either 31 or 33, somewhere in the middle. I would guess probably a lot closer to a 31. What was Japan? It doesn't say. Oh, a 34-inch pitch. So you're going back 34 inches to 31 on the China Southern. So you're going to have to make your decision if it's worth even saving $200. I would say it's not to travel in economy on China Southern as opposed to Japan Airlines, ANA, Ava. Just take a look at that Seat Guru if you want to have a little fun and you have time. I probably didn't explain is, okay, see this LA to Bangkok. We're on Google Flights. We've picked our fares. Now at the bottom here, it says, well, how do you want to pay for this fare? And this is interesting. Booking with Japan Airline, it's $867. Booking with American, it's $851. So it's a little bit less. And then for whatever reason, booking with Alaska is $2,803. That's ridiculous. But if you happen to be an Alaska person, I only fly Alaska, I have some Alaska miles, I'm a loyal Alaska customer, well, I guess you're going to pay $2,000 more, or a little bit less than that, rather than booking it at American. Now, I would not, I would not recommend buying it at Expedia or any of these Booking.com or anything like that. Book it with the airline. I have had great experiences talking to customer service with many of the airlines. Japan, now you're going to be talking to a person in Tokyo, but they speak English. I've talked to the folks at Cathay dozens of times, making little tweaks, changes, whatever. Once again, you're talking to somebody in Hong Kong. Now, when you book a ticket entirely on Japan Airlines with American, you're going to be speaking with the lady in Dallas, Texas. So if that will make you more comfortable, go ahead and do that, as long as you hand feed her the information, because American is kind of a bad example because they are very good with international travel. And so they all are, United, Delta, but you might get that one person sometimes, even though you say, yes, this is an international ticket, you get that one person that has rarely did an international ticket and they don't know the difference between Thailand and Taiwan and on and on and on. So just be prepared for that. Probably I would book it at American if it were the same price. I mean, here I certainly would because it's a little bit cheaper. But even if booking with JAL was $867 and booking with American was $882, I would book it with American. You can apply your American points if you book it direct at Japan Airlines. You just change, it'll ask you, do you have a Japan Airline frequent flyer mile? And then there'll be a pull down. Oh, no? Okay, do you have an American? Do you have a British Airways? Do you have an Iberia? And then you just plug in whichever number you want. In my case, American Airlines, because it's easier for me to earn American points. I don't purchase a lot of tickets, but if I were to purchase this ticket, for example, I would 100% put my miles towards Japan. Not that you're receiving that many miles. It used to be back in the day when you flew, I don't know what the number is, from LA to Japan to Bangkok, let's say it's 7,500 miles. So you would get that 15,000 miles round trip, 1 mile flown, 1 mile earned. It doesn't work that way anymore. For $867 ticket, I don't know how many miles you're going to get. It's all about, did you buy an A, B, C price ticket, depending on the miles. Now, when you're doing premium economy or business, oftentimes business might be 3 times the miles flown. So 15,000 miles times 3. It all depends, once again, on how much you pay for the ticket. But even 900 miles is valuable to me. I don't know how many times I've been in a situation where I had to buy an extra 3,000 points to make a deal happen. You know, I was 3,000 short of that 70,000 point award, and I'm ready to purchase today, and I have to pay $29 for each 1,000 miles. So don't ever look gift miles in the face, or what's the expression? Don't ever do it. And don't be afraid to politely complain if something goes wrong. I'm not a huge complainer, but I was flying in business. I think it was on a Qantas. This was years ago. And my TV was basically broken. The plane was completely full, and the TV kept, like it had a short. All 3 of us, or whatever it was, everybody in our row, our TVs were blinking on and off. And we were kind of like, this is terrible, you know. It was a San Francisco to Sydney flight. You know, they couldn't be more apologetic. There was only business tickets. I don't believe there was a first class ticket. Not that they would be in any hurry to move us up there, but there was nowhere for us to go. She actually offered. She said, I have some economy tickets or some economy seats that are empty. If you'd like to go back and watch a movie and then come back up to your business seat to eat and sleep. And I'm like, it's not that big a deal, but, you know, this is a little disappointing. And so I had booked that ticket, I believe, through Alaska or maybe American. Anyhow, when I got back, I politely complained, and I believe they gave me 30,000 miles or something, way more than I was expecting. But that's a whole lot of miles. I mean, at worst, it's worth $300. I mean, at best, I can use 30,000 miles, add it to another 30,000 miles, and fly one way in business, which is a $2,000-$3,000 ticket all day long. So, yeah, I was almost ready to give up my TV the next trip if they gave me another 30,000 miles. And that is one more tip I'll give you. They are getting kind of crazy on the overbooking the flights. If you're at LAX flying to Bangkok and they start asking people to fly the next day, keep your ears open, because it might cut into your vacation one day. But I'm on these different websites. I've seen some crazy offers as high as $2,000-$3,000 cash, and you're on the exact same flight the next day after they give you a free hotel. I mean, even if it's $1,000, that would probably be worth it to me. I'm just coming home. I get it if you have a 14-day vacation or you have a wedding to get to, but keep an eye out. Kind of gone are the days where they're just offering you $100 or, credit or whatever. No, it's cold, hard cash these days. So I'm always looking to volunteer to get bumped. But what I would probably do is, if I were on this same deal, is I would say, keep your cash. I'll fly tomorrow in business class. And you might be surprised. They might say, absolutely. That, we have 15 business seats available. And you've now moved yourself up to a $4,000 ticket that you paid $1,000 for. Again, maybe cash in pocket is more valuable. And maybe that's a bad example because if they're giving you $3,000, it's a wash anyhow. You might as well have bought the $4,000 ticket. But sometimes those tickets are $6,000, and sometimes they're only offering $1,000 in compensation. But to put you in business, that costs them nothing if there's an empty seat. Oh, hey, I didn't mention we would get into earning those miles and points. I'm kind of changing my mind on that. It's just such a detailed subject. Basically, if you're from the United States, you're going to do it through credit cards. Now, I have a ton of friends. I've been trying to convince them my whole life, and I've maybe convinced 1 in 50 people that, hey, this is a pretty good way to go. Just when you tell a person this credit card has a $350 annual fee, their initial reaction is, well, that's a waste of money, on and on. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. If you are a frequent traveler, oftentimes that American Airlines, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, that is going to be $350 a year. And I've had that card. I don't have it right now. I have the Chase Preferred. But I believe it comes with $150 or maybe a $200 travel credit. Oftentimes you have to use it at Chase Travel, but that's okay. Even the Chase Preferred, it has $100. Again, I'm just guessing. I have these cards and I have all that information written down. They come with perks. If it's not $100 travel credit here, it's $200 there, or money towards your global entry program to cut to the head of the line in many airports. Lounge access is the biggie on a lot of those cards, the $300 plus a year card. And if that's valuable to you, just purchasing lounge access alone is way more than $300 oftentimes with United or American. And these credit cards will get you into priority pass lounges all over the world. But forget about the perks of the card. The main reason you want to get these cards and get a lot of them, they'll come with 50,000 Alaska miles after you put $2,000 spend on the card within 90 days. Or Barclays American card, it's make one purchase on the card, pay the $95 annual fee, receive 50,000 American Airlines points. It's just so easy to get 5 Alaska credit cards in 5 weeks. You know what I mean? Maybe even pushing it harder than that. Again, it's a very detailed subject, so I'm going to link my video and I'm going to make a new one. That video, I was sitting on my boat in San Diego, not a fancy guy, it's just an old sailboat I was living on, and I did a miles and points video. I think maybe 500 people watched it, but maybe some of this audience would be interested in earning those miles and points. Again, you're going to pay some $95 annual fees. You're going to have to determine if, I'll make up the number, $400 of annual fees on credit cards is worth a $3,000 round trip, maybe a $6,000 round trip in business, or maybe doing it twice. So it's all kind of a wash to me. Sure, you're paying annual fees on credit cards. You can also cancel those credit cards. You don't have to pay the annual fee forever. And oh, by the way, get the credit card again and earn the points again. Now, they've kind of clamped down because of people like me that continuously earn that bonus over and over and over. And many cards have language of 48 months now. You can't have the bonus but every 48 months. Fair enough. I mean, there are 50 cards out there to continue to work in a circle, and I always seem to be putting $3,000 on a new card. I just finished a United card and a Barclays, and that's just more miles in the bank. There won't be a whole lot of worry on purchasing a coach ticket for me. It's another story. People will say, well, I have 200,000 miles and they're useless. Again, that's a learning curve. You can't just earn the miles and think you're going to automatically fly in first class anywhere you'd like to in the world. It's a detailed process that, once again, the airlines aren't real happy in letting you know how to get those discounted points tickets. But I have never once did the non-discounted, if that makes sense. I want to fly in business class using Alaska miles for 60,000 points on Japan Airlines, 90,000 points in first class, and I think those rates have gone up. I'm not too interested in the, or you can do it anytime for 200,000 points one way. Yeah, forget that. I'm going to get it done for 60 and 90, and it's just not that complicated to do so. So thank you so much for following along. If you made it to the end of all these little details, I wish you the best in booking your tickets across the oceans. Get on over here to Thailand, and yeah, don't be scared off by different Facebook or Reddit groups that it's $5,000 to travel to Bangkok. It just isn't. I just showed you some real examples on there are deals to be had. If you are one of these folks that, absolutely has to fly on this date and absolutely has to come back on this date, it is what it is. If you can be a little bit flexible, and most of these airline schedules, they're not out a year early. It depends on the airline, but 330 days is a good number that they put the schedule out. So take a look at that schedule, whatever it is, almost a year in advance, and start finding these good deals. Although most of the good deals are 2 and 3 months out, or oftentimes last minute. The ticket almost a year from now, or 330 days, that might not be the greatest deal. So I don't really recommend buying a ticket that far in advance, but certainly a couple of months. I mean, just playing around on Google Flights, and I do it all the time, I've seen tickets in 3 days for less than $1,000, just because 2 or 3 months ago somebody might have made a comment. All I'm saying is whatever, $3,700 tickets, and I'm like, well, I see a $1,012 ticket, and they'll say something like, well, I'm in Las Vegas, that's from Los Angeles, and okay, can't you take a limousine from Vegas to Los Angeles and still save yourself $2,000? I don't know. Some people just want to argue, but there are some deals to be had out there. So best of luck to everybody. There'll be more videos to come. Consider subscribing to my little channel. I'm based here in Bangkok. We'll see you later.
Alaska 1290, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 27 Alaska 1290.
Alaska 1290, you're heading to Cabo and you're 739.
Aircraft use caution. There is a bird on the runway center line, beam Bravo 8. Jet card 328 at Charlie 2, runway 27, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, runway 27 at Charlie 2, jet card 328. Embark Tower, Foothills, Niners on a visual approach, runway 27.
Alaska 1290, contact SoCal departure.
Alaska 1290, get in.
Jet card 328, contact SoCal departure.
Jet card 328, good day.
XLE 4226, contact SoCal departure.
We're to SoCal, just confirm 10.05.
SoCal on 125.15.
1515, thank you. Max on the 4226.
583, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
27 cleared for takeoff, Dallas 583.
United 2474, Limerick Tower, traffic on the roll diverging course, traffic 7 mile final, runway 27, line up and wait.
7 line up and wait, United 2474.
Straight 621, Liberty Tower. Taxi up to and hold short of runway 27 at Charlie 1.
Hold short 27, Charlie 1, big stripe 621.
United 2474, wind 30010, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
Takeoff 27, United 2474.
Southwest 583, contact SoCal departure.
SoCal, Southwest 583, good day.
Great.
United 2474, 738, heading to Houston.
Tower Gamma Jet 881 is ready in sequence.
Gamma Jet 881, Limber Tower, roger. You can taxi up to and hold short of runway 27 at Charlie 1 when able.
Taxi up and hold short of 27, Charlie 1, Gamma Jet 881. Southwest 1010. Limber Tower, American 2757, ready for 27.
American 2757, Limber Tower, traffic holds in position, wind 27012, runway 27, clear to land.
27, clear to land, American 2757.
Southwest 1010, contact SoCal departure, good day.
Southwest 1010, going to departure, good day.
On short final, American, an A320 coming in from Phoenix.
Stripe 621, Limber Tower, runway 27, line up and wait, traffic 7 mile final.
Line up and wait, runway 27, big stripe 621.
American 2757, turn left Bravo 8, traffic holds for you, contact ground.
Left turn Bravo 8 to ground, spot 3 American 2757. Sky is 3391 on the visual.
That's 3391, Limber Tower, traffic holds in position, wind 27010, runway 27, clear to land.
Runway 27, clear to land, Sky 3391.
South 5599, Limber Tower, traffic 6 miles, final 737, runway 27, line up and wait. Southwest 1121, turn left Bravo 7 or 8, contact ground.
Southwest 120, left at Bravo 7, push ground.
Good day. South 5599, wind 27011, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
Let's take off 27, Southwest 5599.